Welcome back to the Deep Dive. You know we love to explore the unexplained, and well, today we're heading to a place that's become synonymous with the paranormal, Skinwalker Ranch.
Oh yeah, Skinwalker Ranch.
Oh,
It's almost legendary at this point.
exactly. And to really get into it, we're diving deep into Skinwalkers at the Pentagon, an insider's account of the government's secret UFO program.
That's a pretty intense title.
It is, and this is no ordinary book. We're talking firsthand accounts, actual science, and people who were right in the thick of the government's secret investigation into UAPs.
Wait, so the authors actually led the program?
You got it. Doctors James T. Lacatski and Colm Kelleher, they were the program managers, and they teams up with investigative reporter George Knapp to tell this incredible story.
So this isn't just speculation or hearsay. We're getting it straight from the source.
Absolutely. And get this, it all started with curiosity. Senator Harry Reid, the former Senate Majority Leader.
Yeah, I know who he is.
Well, turns out he's a lifelong UFO enthusiast. He was always fascinated by the possibilities. He even talked about these unexplained aerial phenomena with John Glenn, the astronaut.
Wow, so this interest goes way back.
And it wasn't just Reid. Senator Stevens, he actually had his own UAP sighting during World War II.
Really?
Yeah, which might explain why he was so supportive of this program later on. But to really kick off this deep dive, we got to talk about Robert Bigelow, the man who bought Skinwalker Ranch.
Okay, Bigelow. Now, he's an interesting character, Bigelow Aerospace, right?
That's him. He was all about pushing those boundaries, expandable habitats for space. That was his thing.
So why buy Skinwalker Ranch? It wasn't exactly prime real estate.
That's the thing. It wasn't just about buying land. It was about exploring the unknown. Skinwalker Ranch already had this reputation, infamous for paranormal activity.
I see, so he was drawn to the mystery.
And trust me, there was plenty of mystery to go around. The ranch's previous owners, the Gorman family, they had experiences that make your hair stand on end. Poltergeist-like events, shadowy figures lurking around, lights and sounds that just didn't make sense.
Classic haunting stuff. But these weren't ghost stories. These were real people living through it.
And those chilling accounts, they're all detailed in the book. It paints this picture of a place where the normal rules, they just didn't apply. And that's what drew James Lacatski into the whole thing.
Lacatski, the DIA physicist.
The one and only. He was captivated by Hunt for the Skinwalker, the book about those strange events at the ranch.
So a physicist, a guy dealing with hard science, gets pulled in by a book about the paranormal. That's pretty telling.
It is, right. Lacatski, he started seeing a possible connection, a link between these phenomena at Skinwalker Ranch and unknown technology operating in U.S. airspace.
So a national security threat kind of stuff.
Exactly. He writes to Bigelow, proposes a visit to assess the situation, see what's what. And here's the kicker. Lacatski himself, while at the ranch, he witnesses something he couldn't explain. He described it as a technological device, something totally inexplicable.
Well, so this wasn't just a fleeting glimpse or some blurry photo. This was a scientist, a guy with security clearance, seeing something that defied logic.
Exactly. And that experience, it seemed to solidify his belief that something extraordinary was happening.
So what happened next? Did anyone believe him?
Well, it wasn't just Lacatski. Senators Reid, Stevens, and Inouye, they all saw the national security implications. And get this, they secured $22 million in funding for a program to investigate these phenomena.
Wow, $22 million. So this wasn't just a small-scale hush-hush operation.
Not at all. This was a full-blown, government-backed investigation into UFOs. And that's how AAWSAP was born, the Advanced Aerospace Weapons System Applications Program.
A secret government program investigating UFOs. It sounds like something straight out of a movie.
It does, but this was real, with real scientists and real data. Leading the charge were Dr. Colm Kelleher, AAWSAP's deputy director, and Jonathan Axelrod, the lead investigator.
They had their work cut out for them.
Oh, they did. And their mission wasn't just about collecting spooky stories. It was about the science, the physics, and the potential tech behind these UAPs. How do they move? What makes them tick? Those are the questions they were after.
So a very scientific approach.
Absolutely. And to gather as much information as possible, they even partnered with MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network.
MUFON, the Civilian UFO Investigation Group. That's pretty interesting.
It is. They were casting a wide net, trying to get a complete picture of what they were dealing with. Now, when it came to Skinwalker Ranch, AAWSP went all in on the scientific method. We're talking advanced monitoring equipment, studying electromagnetic fields, radiation levels, everything.
A far cry from just wandering around with a flashlight and a camera.
Exactly. And one of their methods that stands out is their plant experiments. They used spiderwort and tobacco plants as biosensors.
Plants as biosensors. How does that work?
Well, these specific plants, they're known to be super sensitive to radiation and magnetic field anomalies. Think of them like living detectors.
Okay, so they're like natural alarms if something weird is going on.
You got it. And what they found at Skinwalker Ranch, especially compared to control groups in Las Vegas, it was clear. Something unusual was affecting the environment at the ranch. The seed germination experiments, for example, yielded wildly different results.
Wow, that's pretty compelling.
It is. They're seeing these strange effects on plant life, and it's clear something out of the ordinary is happening. But what is it? Is it some unknown energy field? Radiation we haven't even discovered?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is, and that's where things start to get really intriguing.
Absolutely, and that's what drove AAWSAP to dig even deeper. They weren't content with just observing these weird events. They wanted to understand what was causing them.
That's what makes their work so compelling. They were approaching the unexplained with a level of scientific rigor that we rarely see in this field.
It really sets them apart. They weren't just dismissing these events as hoaxes or hallucinations. They treated them as legitimate phenomena worthy of serious investigation.
And that brings us to one of their most unsettling discoveries, the hitchhiker effect.
The hitchhiker effect, what's that?
Imagine going to Skinwalker Ranch and then experiencing bizarre phenomena back home, as if something followed you back. This isn't just about seeing a UFO and telling your friends. It's about something potentially attaching itself to individuals and messing with their lives in strange and disturbing ways.
Okay, that's creepy.
It is. The book details some truly unsettling accounts of this effect. For instance, there's the story of Jim Costigan and his wife, Layla. After visiting Skinwalker Ranch, they encounter a blue orb near their home. And shortly after that, Layla is diagnosed with Hashimoto's thyroiditis, an autoimmune disease.
Whoa, that's a pretty serious condition. Do they think there's a connection?
It definitely makes you wonder, right? Could exposure to the ranch somehow be triggering health problems? That's exactly the question AAWSAP grappled with.
I can see why they'd be concerned.
They explored different models trying to understand how this hitchhiker effect might work, things like the infectious agent model and the social contagion model.
Those are usually used to explain diseases or behaviors, not paranormal phenomena.
Exactly. But here they were trying to apply those same models to the transmission of something. Well, something we don't fully understand.
So they were essentially treating the hitchhiker effect like a disease, trying to understand how it spreads, what its effects are.
Precisely. And their research suggested a potential link between visiting the ranch and developing health problems.
That raises some serious questions. It's not just about UFO sightings anymore. It's about the potential impact on human health, on our biology.
Exactly. And this is where the investigation takes a much darker, more personal turn.
This hitchhiker effect, it wasn't just some isolated incident. AAWSAP, they documented a bunch of cases, all with these eerie similarities.
Like what?
Well, like the case of Ron Becker. Yeah, while driving, he has this encounter with blue orbs, kind of like the ones the Costigans saw. And guess what? Not long after, he starts having all these health problems.
So not just a little headache or something.
Nope. We're talking serious stuff. He even gets diagnosed with ductal carcinoma in situ.
Ductal carcinoma.
There's cancer, yeah. A pretty rare type, too.
That's a terrifying connection.
Definitely makes you think. And AAWSAP, they documented Becker's case meticulously. You know, blood tests, medical examinations, the whole 9 yards.
They weren't messing around?
No, sir, they weren't. And their findings, they showed some significant changes in his health after that blue orb encounter.
So it's not just anecdotal. They actually had data.
Hard data. It wasn't just him saying, oh, I feel sick. They had proof.
It's almost like these UAP encounters, they're leaving something behind, some kind of energetic residue on people.
Yeah, and it's having these potentially devastating consequences.
Yeah.
Makes you think twice about getting too close, right?
No kidding. It really challenges that whole idea that UAPs are just these distant objects out there in the sky minding their own business.
Exactly. This hitchhiker effect, it suggests something way more direct, more personal, something that can actually affect us, even hurt us.
And then you've got the case of Derek Jones. His story takes this to a whole other level.
Jones, what happened to him?
He encounters a triangular aircraft,
Triangular, like a
like a
pan.
giant flying triangle. And on top of that, he experiences radiation exposure.
Whoa, radiation.
Yeah. And to make things even creepier, he gets a visit from government agents.
Government agents, what did they want?
They warned him to keep quiet about what he saw, told him to basically forget it ever happened.
So now we've got secrecy and potential cover-ups. This is getting seriously X-Files-y.
I know, right? Strange encounters, possible health effects, and then the government swoops in to silence anyone who talks about it. What are they hiding?
The book doesn't give any concrete answers, but it definitely raises questions about what the government knows and what they're not telling us.
It seems AAWSAP's investigation, it went way beyond just Skinwalker Ranch. They dug into other high-profile cases, too.
Like what?
Like the infamous Tic Tac incident. You familiar with that one?
Tic Tac. Vaguely, yeah. Remind me.
So we're talking about the USS Nimitz carrier strike group. Pilots report seeing this Tic Tac-shaped object in the sky, and it's doing these crazy maneuvers, things that just defy physics as we know it.
So, not your average UFO sighting.
Definitely not. AAWSAP took this case very seriously. They interviewed pilots, analyzed sensor data, even did these super sophisticated simulations to try and understand how the Tic Tac was moving.
Simulations? How detailed are we talking?
They used ANSYS software, the kind engineers use to model complex systems. They were trying to quantify the Tic Tac speed, its acceleration, all of it.
So this was serious analysis.
Oh yeah, a level of scientific rigor you rarely see in UAP research. And what did their simulations show?
Well, they indicated that the Tic Tac wasn't operating within the known laws of physics, meaning it was doing things that our current understanding of aerodynamics and propulsion just can't explain.
So what does that tell us about the technology behind these UAPs? I mean, are we talking about something so advanced it basically looks like magic to us?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
AAWSAP's research, particularly their work on the Tic Tac, it suggests we might be dealing with tech that's just light years ahead of anything we can even imagine.
They even launched this thing called Project Physics, a sub-project where they brought in top scientific minds, you know, the real brainiacs.
That's what they're doing.
Brainstorming, thinking about potential future aerospace capabilities, what might be possible based on what they were seeing with these UAPs.
Wow, so they were really trying to think outside the box.
And guess what? The Pentagon was actually pretty impressed with what they came up with. Makes you wonder, right? Are those sci-fi ideas like anti-gravity propulsion or wormholes, are they really that far-fetched?
I mean, if these UAPs are any indication, maybe not.
It really challenges our assumptions about what's possible. But AAWSAP's investigation, it wasn't just limited to this futuristic stuff. They delved into some historical cases too, especially those involving UAPs near nuclear facilities.
Nuclear facilities. That's unsettling.
Right. It wasn't just random sightings. There seemed to be this pattern, this interest in our nukes.
So they weren't just joyriding. That raises some serious questions about their intentions. Why are they so interested in our nuclear capabilities?
It's a chilling thought. Are they just observing? Or could they actually interfere with our most sensitive military installations?
That's a scary thought. And it definitely underscores that national security threat that AAWSAP was so concerned about.
They uncovered cases like Stephen Smith's experience at Wurtsmith Air Force Base. Multiple witnesses saw UAPs there, and this was during the Cold War, a time of super high tension.
So not exactly a good time for unexplained aerial phenomena to be buzzing around our nuclear bases.
Nope. And then there's the 2007 Lakenheath incident where F-15C pilots encounter a UAP that sounds a lot like the ones described in the 2021 Pentagon report.
So consistent sightings across decades?
Exactly. It's clear this isn't just a recent thing. It's been happening for a long time. And we still have so many unanswered questions. But AAWSAP's work, it's a foundation, you know? They documented all these events, combed through government archives, worked with MUFON, created this huge database of UAP incidents.
A database? How big are we talking?
They called it their data warehouse. 11 databases packed with documented events, analyses, even those 38 advanced technology papers they wrote. Imagine the information in there.
That's incredible.
It is. It's like they were laying the groundwork for a whole new era of UAP research, one based on real science and a willingness to explore every aspect of this phenomenon. But then it all came to a halt.
Wait, what happened?
In 2010, AAWSAP was shut down.
Shut down? Why?
The official reason was lack of funding, but something tells me there's more to the story.
Yeah, that's usually a convenient way to shut things down when they get too close to something.
Uh-huh.
Uncomfortable.
Exactly. And that's what we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive into the secrets of Skinwalker Ranch and the legacy of AAWSAP. So here we are, all this incredible research, a scientific deep dive into the Skinwalker Ranch, and then bam, in 2010, it all comes to a screeching halt.
This is frustrating, right?
Totally. Officially, it was a lack of funding, but skinwalkers at the Pentagon, it kind of hints that there's more to it than just budget cuts.
Yeah, there are those disagreements, right, about which direction the research should go in, especially about focusing on the paranormal stuff.
Exactly. It's that classic debate. Stick to the hard science, the data, or venture into the realm of the unexplained, the things that science can't quite grasp yet.
And remember, this was the DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency. Their main concern is national security. So when you start talking about things like telepathy or those weird hitchhiker effects, well, it might have seemed a little out there for them.
Yeah, I get it. We're here to assess threats, not chase ghosts, that sort of thing. But what if, by ignoring those aspects, they were missing something crucial? Especially if we're dealing with tech so advanced, it seems supernatural.
That's the point AAWSAP was trying to make. They believe to truly understand UAPs, you got to look at the whole picture, even the parts that challenge our understanding of science.
They were basically saying, the universe doesn't play by our rules, so we need to adapt our thinking if we want to figure it out.
Exactly. They pushed for a broader approach, involving multiple disciplines, which you can imagine might have ruffled some feathers.
A lot of folks like to stay in their comfortable scientific boxes.
It's easier that way.
So even with all their efforts to keep the research going, pushing those boundaries, AWSN got shut down. It makes you wonder, did they get too close to something someone didn't want them to find?
It's a question that hangs over the whole thing. But even though the program ended, their work didn't just vanish. What about that huge data warehouse they created? 11 databases, all those meticulously documented cases, the analyses, even those 38 papers on advanced tech. Where did all that go?
That's what I want to know. Did it all get buried in some government archive, never to be seen again? What a waste that would be.
It's unclear what happened to all of it. But one thing's for sure, interest in UAPs didn't die with AAWSA. Their work might have actually paved the way for the renewed interest we're seeing today.
You think so? Like they were the unsung heroes, pushing the government to finally take these phenomena seriously.
I think so, yeah. Their rigorous documentation, the scientific approach, their insistence on looking at every angle, it all shifted the conversation. UAPs weren't just fringe science anymore.
They brought it into the mainstream, out of the shadows.
Exactly. And that eventually led to the UAP task force, the Pentagon report, the government finally admitting, hey, these things are real and we don't know what they are.
It's like AAIATB planted a seed and it finally blossomed.
They forced the government to confront something they'd been trying to ignore for decades.
And don't forget, research at Skinwalker Ranch is still ongoing. New owners, new investigations, new tech, the mystery continues.
There's still so much we don't know.
It's a testament to the power of these mysteries. They keep us guessing, they challenge our understanding of the world, and they push us to search for answers.
And Skinwalkers at the Pentagon gives us this amazing look behind the scenes. We see the government wrestling with these phenomena, trying to make sense of it all.
It shows how these dedicated individuals, these scientists and researchers, armed with their scientific methods and open minds, tried to tackle the unknown.
Even though AIPB-AP ended, their legacy continues, not just in the data they gathered, but in the questions they asked, the doors they opened.
Their story reminds us to be open-minded, to question what we think we know, to pursue truth no matter how weird it seems.
Because the truth is out there, somewhere.
Keep looking up, keep asking those questions, and never stop exploring. That's what the deep dive is all about. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the mysteries of Skinwalker Ranch.